at 11:01. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2026. And we are on Zoom. Bob Herrick is joining us remotely from his vacation, and I'm happy for that. So we are recording this meeting, and you can view it later on our YouTube channel anytime if you want to see the program again or let somebody else know about the program. That YouTube address is in our newsletter if you don't already have it. All right, and then for the benefit of our food committee, I'd like to see a show of hands if you know that you are going to the Asian Star Buffet for lunch today, so they can give them a heads up as to how many are going. If you raise your hand up high. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And you can go if you want to. I see 14 right now. Maybe give them a couple, add a couple seats just in case. Y'all had your hand up? Okay. All right, let's have some opening thoughts from Larry, and then after that, we'll move to our membership report and treasurer's report. Lois, will you be able to do both of those today? Thank you. All right, come on up.
Well, good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. Here's a little thought about life in this new year. This bold quote inspires a mindset of embracing each moment, taking chances, and living with energy and passion. Life should not be a journey to the grave, with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways, body thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and screaming, "Wahoo! What a ride!"
Thank you, Larry. Yahoo! Okay, Lois, we're going to hear today's membership report and treasurer's report, and then right after that, we'll have Becky. Can you come up and do our January birthdays?
Good morning. We have 24 members present. Yay, that's a good group. And we have 2 guests today, Mike and Sue Anderson. A lot of us know who they are, but would you mind standing so that we know who you are? Thank you for being here. And as far as money is concerned, we have, according to my records, $587.34.
Hi, how you doing? Happy New Year to all of you. I sure hope some of the January birthdays are here. I don't know, we'll see. I know Carolyn Ellis isn't here. Her birthday is on January the 24th. And Christine Schemmel, are you here? Nope? No, Lord. Mary Beth Green, where are you? Come on over. Yay. Are there any other January birthdays? I stand right here. Anybody? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Class 6. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Yay.
Thank you. Dana Hilkemeyer has been in charge of our birthdays and birthday flowers for many years as a ministry from her. Adana has decided that she can no longer do that job, so Becky and Patty are taking over for her for the rest of this year. And if anybody in the new fiscal year, our year starting in May, wants to be in charge of getting the birthday flowers and doing birthdays, you can speak to me and we'll be happy to let you have that job. All right, the only old business I have is that we're still collecting socks, mittens, gloves, stocking caps, scarves, even though it's been so hot, it'll be cold eventually. So we're collecting those for Haven for Hope through the winter. And to let you know that we did complete our $500 donation to the diaper bank for our Wesley nurse. The only new business that I know of is that there's no WOW in January or February. That's the women's group, and they'll start back again in March. So watch for information about that. And next month's meeting is when we present nominations for officers and board members for the next year, starts in May. But our nominations are presented to you at the February meeting. So this month, our executive board will get together sometime later this month, and I'll be in touch with you about that to choose a day. We'll talk about next year's budget. We'll talk about the nominations. And if any of you want to volunteer or you have someone you want to suggest for an office of president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer, or members at large, speak to me or any of the other board members who are listed in your newsletter, and we will present those to you for a vote next month. All right, so finally, we are to the point which is what y'all came for, to hear our program about houseplants. And I'd like to introduce Robin Norton from Rainbow Gardens. She's a certified nursery professional and has volunteered to come and speak to us and hopefully help us make our homes green and healthy and beautiful. So, Robin.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Robin, and I have been at Rainbow Gardens for about 6.5 years. Previous to that, I was a preschool teacher at Coper Methodist Church for 20 years, and I enjoyed that immensely. We started bringing caterpillars into the classroom with the kiddos to watch them emerge into butterflies, and I just became so fascinated with it. I started learning more about gardening, and I found out, oh my gosh, you can actually plant plants to attract butterflies, and that's how I ended up changing professions. So I really enjoy working with plants and helping people, and we still have field trips that come through, so I still get to hang out with the littles, but it's nice to be able to share my love and passion for plants and help people be successful at home. I really enjoy being able to give people advice and them to come back and say, that worked, and this worked really well. So I really do enjoy my job. I'm also the event manager, so any of the events or classes or anything at Rainbow Gardens, I coordinate those. And most of our classes are free, so please check our website. You guys are welcome to come anytime. They're during the spring, they'll be during the week, because we're so busy on weekends, there's no parking. So during the week is when we'll have classes, and as I mentioned, they are free. All right, so we're going to talk about houseplants. So, why would anyone want houseplants? Of course, they are more than decoration. They help with health benefits. They've got numerous health benefits. They help with wellness. They bring warmth and light indoors. And I did mention that for any pet safety information, the latest information is going to be on the ASPCA's website. We always tell people, because we'll have people come in and say, pick me out a bunch of plants that are not toxic to my pets. And I have lists. However, if we are plant experts, not pet experts, so we always recommend, just to be safe, that you check with the ASPCA's website for their latest information. They are supposed to help also improve indoor air quality. They've done numerous studies that it's supposed to help filter out toxins and reduce harmful VOCs like formaldehyde and benzene, and also acts as natural humidifiers. And of course, there have been many research studies have been done about how they can help us reduce stress and anxiety, create calming and a peaceful atmosphere, helps fight fatigue. There we go. And it's supposed to also help productivity. Putting a plant in your workspace is supposed to help increase your productivity, help improve concentration and focus, and supposed to help reduce minor illnesses. So, I mean, I don't see anything negative about houseplants. And then, of course, therapeutic benefits, just having your hands in the dirt, in the soil, and watching something grow. I think I went the wrong way, sorry. Nope, there we go. So yes, lots of, it teaches patience. If you're gardening with children, you can help teach patience, also helps us adults as well. And it's just a great way to de-stress and unwind. So I wanted to talk really quick about some easy ones to start with. I actually have the snake plant right here. This is the snake plant. This guy, I would say, if you've never had a house plant before and you want to try, and you're not very good at remembering to water and stuff, this is the one that you want. It is a snake plant, or mother-in-law's tongue. I have found them in the greenhouse. They've fallen back behind the bench and haven't gotten water, and you just give it a little water and it comes back, and I thought they were dead. Now, one way you can quickly kill them is overwatering. They do not like wet feet, so overwatering is very important on those. Some other, the ZZ, we also have the ZZ here too, which is very drought tolerant, very easy to care for. Pothos ivy, same. A good beginner plant, doesn't need a ton of light. But one of my favorites, and I do not have a, let's see, yes, one of my favorites here is the peace lily. And I love this one because it tells you what it needs. I don't know if any of you have a peace lily, but they are very dramatic plants. If you forget to water this guy, he is going to let you know, because you're going to walk by and you're going to say, oh my gosh, because he's going to be folded over like this, and you're going to think, I've killed it, I've killed it. Give it a little water, and in 30 minutes it'll be popped right back up. Very dramatic, but I like it because it indicates to me when I need to water it. So sometimes it's kind of hard to guess with these guys when they need water and when they don't. But these are also supposed to be really well for air purifying, the peace lily, the Boston fern, Eureka palm, aloe vera. And then, of course, just to add some interest to your decor, the monstera leaves are absolutely gorgeous. The prayer plant, we were talking about the prayer plant earlier. It's listed as one of the easier plants, but it can be a little tricky at times, too. You know, all depending on your light and your watering, it's kind of sensitive to that. And the bird of paradise is great too. Cactus and succulents, another good one if you're just starting out. Those don't need a whole lot of extra care and watering. They can have stand a little neglect. Air plants are great too. You usually only need to soak those for about an hour, or soak them for about 30 minutes once a week, and let them air dry, and they will continue to flourish. Peperomias are great, and also the Chinese evergreen. We sell all of those at Rainbow Gardens, but those are very, very common houseplants. So this next part, I wanted to go in a little more in depth, now that we know why we choose houseplants, what we like about them. Lighting, this is where I know when I first started with houseplants that I just killed everything at first. And I realized it was my lighting. Light, is the most important thing for your plant. Every plant needs light for photosynthesis. There are plants like ZZ, and this one can live in low light, but they will not thrive in low light. If you want them to, get nice and big and huge, then they do need some kind of, good light source. Grow lights are fabulous. I believe that I've got a copy, I've got a slide. Yes. So here are some examples of grow lights. And Mary Kay was supposed to come today. She has COVID, unfortunately. The two pictures on our left are of her house. And she incorporates grow lights in with her regular lights and then has her plants there. And she said it has just made a world of difference. Even though in some areas she does have really nice indirect lighting, she said that the grow lights have really helped quite a bit. My sister is also a huge houseplant guru. She's got over 100 houseplants, and I was trying to take a picture at her house the other day. For whatever reason, my phone didn't work. But she's same thing, grow lights everywhere, and then she just kind of has them, she has them on a shelf also, and they're kind of camouflaged in there, and it looks really neat. But there is definitely more information on this handout. This handout was Mary Kay's notes, and she's the one that is in the greenhouse 40 hours a week in the houseplants only. I am kind of a jack of all trades. So she wrote a very, very, very detailed list about lighting and humidity, and I'm very grateful for that. So I was really hoping she could come and share some of her, she's got a lot of interesting stories and things, but I'm very grateful she gave us this information. So you see sometimes also, I believe I have the next slide about humidity, yes, a lot of people use humidifiers. Here in San Antonio, it really isn't dry enough for us to need humidifiers with our houseplants. However, some people will grow some really exotic houseplants, and they'll want to, they'll need a little bit more humidity. So you will see some people that will use those, but for most people, most regular home settings, you would not need a humidifier. Overwatering kills plants more than underwatering. And I noticed, at first I thought she made a mistake, but on here she has, the first three are make sure your pot has drainage, make sure your pot has drainage, make sure your pot has drainage. Do not put your plants on a watering schedule. Water when plant needs it only, and when plant needs it, and only when it needs it. So watering can be very tricky. There are numerous methods. I have a lot of different people coming in. Some people like to spray. Some people like to use ice cubes. Truly, truly, the best way to water is to, when your plant is dry, like this one's pretty dry, I use my handy dandy moisture meter. You can buy a moisture meter also. But I like to use my finger. I can get right in there and I can tell, is there any moisture? So you're not going to want these when you are watering. I apologize. Let me get back to what I was talking about. When you're watering, you are going to water this guy until you see water coming out of the bottom. When you have been out exercising and stuff, would you just want someone to give you a little squirt of water and then you're on your way? You want to hydrate. You want to get ready for that next, whatever it is that you're going to do, the next part of your race or the next part of your day. You're going to want to drink. So that's what we want for our plants. They want a nice big drink, and then we let them about 30 minutes. You could set it in your sink, make sure it's completely dry or completely drained, and then you'll set it out, and then it will have enough water. So they can sustain with being sprayed, but they really thrive when they get a good, thorough watering. So that is definitely one thing. She had also mentioned on here about using pebble trays. You can do that as well if you feel like your plant needs a little bit of intermediate watering. So what you would do is put a tray down on the bottom, like a saucer, with rocks. And there's water on the rocks, but you are not going to let that water touch the bottom of your plant. You're going to have your plant on the rocks, and the water is just basically not quite touching the pot. So it will come up as needed, but that way you can offer a little bit of extra supplemental watering in between if it seems like your plant needs that. Let's see. So we've talked about light, we talked about water, fertilizing. So there's a lot of different options with fertilizing. Liquid fertilizer is what I prefer, and I believe that's what Mary Kay said she prefers too. So I really like to use the Grow Big because it doesn't stink. It has a really just nice smell. A lot of the liquid fertilizers smell, and then when you have to use them in your home, you know, you don't want to smell fish, you know, in your house. So this one is nice because it does not smell terrible. And so I will mix this, I'll follow the directions on here, I'll mix this and put it in my watering can and then water. She also has a note on here about fertilizing, saying that the liquid fertilizer gives you more of a pop, and you'll see the results faster, and the granular, you know, is a slow release for the long term. But she mentioned something on here I noticed about fertilizing. People always ask us, how often do I fertilize? You most certainly can kill your plants by fertilizing too much, but it would really take a lot of fertilizer. We have some people that are our customers that will tell us that they do add a little bit of fertilizer every single time they water. That kind of have to experiment with your plants and see what you think, but they're wanting those big results, so they're doing a lot of feeding. But they don't necessarily require that. How many of you all have ever been to Florida or to Hawaii, somewhere tropical, and seen those big tropical plants? Like these plants, my daughter got her master's from Stetson University right outside of Orlando, so I would go visit her frequently. And I was just amazed at just driving down the street, these plants that we keep in our house, you know, this big, planted in someone's yard because they don't have a freeze. So these plants are able to, you know, climb up trees, and I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And then you come back to Texas and it's like, oh, but I have actually seen quite a few pictures from customers that they're able to grow very large specimens indoors with grow lights, and you know, have just kind of made that the whole focal point of their house. So that's been really neat to see. I'll tell you a personal story about this one. The Nelson's indoor plant food, when they first came up with this, the rep gave me some. They hadn't even packaged them up yet, and she told me, take this home and see how it works. So I only had a snake plant at the time, I think, you know, and I mentioned my sister has a ton of plants. So I told her, here, you try it and give me your honest feedback so I can let the rep know. And about 2 weeks later, she sent me a picture and she said, oh my gosh, I thought something horrible had happened to my plant. And I realized that it bloomed, and it was a calathea, which rarely blooms at all. And after she had applied this fertilizer and given it a week or so, she had a flower on her caladium, which is very, very, that just doesn't happen that often. I mean, calathea, and it just doesn't happen that often. So I thought that was very interesting, and that definitely made me a believer in the Nelson's house plant once I heard that. So I made sure to message the rep right away, and I sent her a picture, and she was really excited to hear that feedback. But I do like Nelson's a lot because they're a local company. They're in, they're A&M graduates. They're in, I want to say it's in Hondo, I believe. Belleville is where this is packaged up. But they use all natural products. They're a small business, local business, very good. We've had a lot of good rapport with that company, and also with their products. They're just really good products. So we definitely like working with Nelson quite a bit. So lastly, I was going to mention soil. Soil, of course, is very, very, very important. Depending on the plant, they have different soil needs. My favorite, if I'm just going to buy a plant and I don't want to, create my own soil, because some people do. There are some people that are very, very, very knowledgeable on houseplants and they've gone down rabbit trails and they're like, I'm going to use this type of peat moss and this bark and this, vermiculite, I usually will just buy a bag that's mixed. And Fox Farm has a blue bag called Ocean Forest, and that one I really think is the best one. Very well draining. The three main components of potting mix are peat moss, perlite, and some type of a wood product or compost. So the perlite is the white stuff that looks like styrofoam that you'll find in there, and it's actually volcanic stone that adds airflow and drainage to your soil, so it's a very important ingredient to have in your soil. And just backing up just a little bit about soils, when I first started at Rainbow, I had no idea that there were so many different kinds of soils. I was like, mulch, compost, raised bed, planting mix, soil conditioner, it can get very overwhelming, potting mix. So if you are planting in a pot, you need potting mix. It has everything that your plant needs, and that it cannot get out of the ground, because it's not going to be getting it out of the ground, it's only getting it out of the pot. So make sure that if you are planting something in a pot, it is potting mix. If you're doing something in ground, the soil conditioner is good, compost is good, mulch as a topper, but that was definitely something that had confused me and was a little overwhelming for me. So definitely when you're using a pot, you want to make sure you have potting soil. Does anybody have questions for me? Yes?
On a grow light,
yes.
take a certain fixture, or can you put like a grow light bulb into any fixture?
You can put a grow light bulb into any fixture, and that's definitely what Mary Kay did in her house. My sister has done the same. You can just use, she has regular lamp shades, and she just traded the bulbs out. And she didn't do all the bulbs, I think it was just like half. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
At what point do you repot?
That is an excellent question. You don't want to repot too early, because the plant will either try to make concessions because there's not, because it's they like to be compact, basically is what I'm trying to say. So when you are repotting, you're only going to want to repot one pot size up, or you're going to want to put multiple plants in there. Mary Kay said it very well in her notes here. She said, when you put a plant in a container that is too large, two things will happen. The plant will try to fill the container with roots, which will impact the growth of the foliage, or the soil will retain water when you don't have enough roots to uptake the water. So one way you can tell that a plant needs to be repotted, like this one's getting close. You see how it's not round anymore. When I'm holding it, I can tell the roots. There's lots and lots of roots here. So a lot of times you'll see the roots coming up. You'll just see your plant getting really crowded, and then it'll get thirsty quicker because there's not as much soil to hold the moisture. And then that's when you'll know, this plant's looking just a little bit too big for this pot, so I need to repot it. So then, like I said, I would go maybe 1 or 2 pot sizes up, not too big, and then get it some fresh soil and potting soil, of course, and then get it all repotted, and then it should do well for you. Yes, ma'am. The which one? Oh, the little spikes, yes. They are, they are definitely time released. So it's essentially very much like using a dry fertilizer, but it's all in one. So it just kind of, it is a slow release, but those do work as well. I am not sure if we have those for houseplants at Rainbow. I know we have them for the trees and the different things, but I have seen them. But yes, those do work as well. The most important thing is you want to make sure you're not going too high on your numbers of fertilizer too. The NPK, which is the 3 numbers on the fertilizer, should be between 5 and 7-ish, she said. So, and that, you should be able to find that on every fertilizer bottle. Like this one, it's down here at the bottom, it says 644. So that one's good. And then this one is an 1848, which would not go into her little rule here, but I guess that's because it is a slow release. And then what else was I going to mention? And I had kind of talked about it briefly about you can make your own potting mix as well with peat moss, perlite, wood products, compost. But again, if you're really not wanting to do that, there are many, many bags of great potting mix that you can buy. You just want to make sure it's well draining. Any other questions for me? I did want to show also that I have let's see here. Got a slide toward the back here. Yes, okay, so these are some common diseases found on houseplants, common pests, my apologies. So the aphids, spider mites, we've got the mealybugs, that very last one in the corner is scale. So if you're seeing something strange on your plants and you don't know what it is, you might Google it, still don't know, take a picture, bring it into us, we'll help you, and we'll help you figure out which product you need for that. Or you can take a sample of your plant, put it in a Ziploc bag so that we don't contaminate other plants, bring it in so we can identify what is wrong with your plant and then how to help you fix it. So that is definitely one thing that we try to help with, because it can be very, very confusing sometimes to try to figure out what's wrong. So these are all fungal issues here. And these are all caused by different funguses, but they all present differently. So it's kind of, it can be a little bit overwhelming if you're not a nursery professional to know that, you know, this actually is caused by this. So please let us help you. We have a lot of knowledgeable people that can help you figure out what's wrong and recommend how to fix it. And let's see, I think I've got, oh yes, this is another one. I wanted to show, I had briefly touched on toxic and non-toxic plants for pets. These I did get off the ASPCA's website because a lot of people will ask me, well, what can I have what is safe for my pets? And on the houseplant side, we've got the polka dot plant, the Boston fern, sweet potato vine, the burro's tail, the hen and chicks, bamboo. There's quite a few things that are okay for you to have around your pets. I will tell you, most of the time, unless we're talking about a puppy or a kitten, most animals will eventually just leave them alone. But I know, like, my mom does not have most animals. She ended up having to move all of her plants out in the garage because her cats just would not stay out of them. So you just kind of have to, you know, watch your animals and make your best decisions based on that. Let me think. Is there anything else that I needed to go over with you guys? Any other questions anybody might have for me? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes.
I'm familiar with amaryllis because I've grown quite a few of them.
Yes.
I've never had one
In wax. Yes.
Should I, after they bloom, I can cut the stems down
Yes.
and plant them like that?
I would remove the wax, but then, yes, and if you want to plant it in a pot for the next year, you can just, I'd remove it and cut off that bottom part of the roots, and then just put it in a paper bag. and leave it alone until probably October or so, and then you'll get that back out, plant it, water it. You could soak the bulb first before you plant it, water it really well, and then it should go for you next Christmas. Oh, you do? Okay, and so you can repeat that same thing. Yes, absolutely. No, I would take it out of the wax. Definitely take it out of the wax. And you might want to give it just a little trim on the bottom of some of those roots that are down in the wax. Just give it a little trim, and that should revive it. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the hygrometers, the water
Yes.
meters, because I had some plants that I was killing with love.
Yes, yes,
But if I poked my finger in, it still felt dry.
yes,
I needed to water until I got a hygrometer and put it all the way to the
yes,
bottom and realized it was way too wet.
absolutely.
But some, it has like, I know some plants like drier soil.
Yes,
So even though it tells me dry, medium, high.
right.
I need to know what the plant likes. Is there like a list of what plants?
Unfortunately, there is not. And that blew me away. We have like a little cheat sheet, and I probably should have taken a photo of it to show you guys for anyone who's watering in the houseplant greenhouse, because all of the plants have different watering needs. So one person I was watching on YouTube recommends that, you start off with one houseplant. You get to know that houseplant. You start to learn, what does this like water? Does it not? Google it. Go on the internet, see what information you can find out. And then, each month get yourself a second one and a third one, and then teach yourself that way, because they will all, just like people, have different needs. But yes, it can be very, very tricky trying to figure out which ones need a lot of water and which ones don't. And there is not a list calculated out there. Like I said, we all just wrote notes and made our own list. But the ones that I brought here, of course, are a little less maintenance. And then, it honestly just depends. I will say, though, that really is a number one thing about watering, is you want to water all the way through. When I was growing up, I would just do a little choot, then I'm done. But if this is something that's only going to be getting water, probably once a week or whatever, not like it's outdoors in the 100-degree heat where I'm out there every day watering, I'm going to want to make sure that everything is watered well, that it is, like I said, going out of the bottom. That is the most important thing. Just thinking about, again, ourselves, we wouldn't want to just drink the minimal amount of water to keep us alive after we ran a marathon. We would want to hydrate and then, and sweat and urinate and start the cycle. And that's, what your plants are needing to get going. So you're wanting to, feed them and water them to get them going and to flourish, not just to keep them alive, basically.
Is it important that they dry out between watering? Or that's plant specific?
That is definitely plant specific. Like the Hoyas, they love to dry out completely between watering. And then this guy, I can already tell, just looking at it, it's starting to fall a little bit. I didn't water it yesterday because I wasn't at work. And I just grabbed him this morning, but I was like, oh my goodness, yes, he's starting to tell me. He's just not quite as perky. So it really does depend on your plant. Everything is plant specific. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. This one probably does need a bigger pot now, yes. I would say this is really, really close to needing to be potted up, yes. Because it's all kind of shoved in here. And that is another thing, being a retail nursery, sometimes we will get plants and we're like, wow, this is really rooted in here, because we deal with lots of different growers. So, yes, ma'am. Yes.
But I can get a cloth with soapy water and run it on the leaves, and it comes out orange. And I'm sure that it's got mites.
Yes.
Is that the best way to treat that, just physically?
Most definitely. And then if you start seeing that it's, becoming damaged, that's when, that's your first line of defense, I would say. Yes, definitely do a good washing, see if it's something that you can take care of without chemicals. I'm kind of in a conflicted area because as I mentioned, I'm a pollinator gardener, so I don't use chemicals. I mean, we'll use fertilizers, but I don't use anything that kills any bugs because it will kill every bug, and I'm trying to keep the pollinators alive. So I tend to, even in houseplants that I know they don't have the ladybugs that are flying in and eating the insects and keeping the balance going because they're indoors. So I know that I have to, there will be a time that I'll have to use some poison, and I don't want to. So I like to do that. If I see something going on with my houseplants, I'll try the soapy water first. See what I can take off, what I can do without having to introduce those chemicals. And then there are some times that it's just like, oh, this will never live unless I treat it with one of these things. And then that just is what has to be done, unfortunately. But that is a very good way to prevent. Yes, ma'am.
I too have a amaryllis in a,
Yes.
so the tall, beautiful flowers are wilting now.
Yes.
Cut that stem off all the way down to the,
Yes.
all the way down.
Correct.
I have new buds coming out.
If you want it to keep budding, you could go ahead and plant it, but it's probably going to poop out on its own. Yeah, you can just cut it back, and yes, absolutely. And if you're wanting to do a pot for Christmas again, that's when I would mention that you could put it in a paper bag, leave it in your garage somewhere or something, and then bring it back out in like October, plant it in a pot, and then about that time, you'll have it, if you were wanting to use it as like a decoration for your table or something, then you could have it in the middle of your table. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm wondering about if there is a special soil for Christmas cactus. Because I have four.
Yes.
Every Christmas somebody gives me one.
Right.
The same person, so some of those pots are 4 years old.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Soil in it because I don't really know
Right.
if there's a special soil for Christmas cactus.
Luckily, Christmas cactus are pretty easygoing. The ocean forest, I would recommend that one for ocean forest. That honestly, that I would say 95% of the houseplants would use the ocean forest. It's got a lot of good stuff. I think Mary Kay listed what it has in here. It's also my favorite too. So I was like, oh, look at that. So she mentioned, it's a light, airy mix, which is good for almost everything. 60% compost, then peat moss, then perlite. It also has organic fertilizer like bat guano, earthworm castings, oyster shell, and kelp. So all good things, to enrich the soil. So that I would recommend the ocean forest for that one. For the Christmas cactus. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. No problem.
A while back, years back, I read that if a house plant like that, a plant that you have planted, and we planting it or repotting it, and the roots were going round and
Yes.
choking,
Uh-huh.
that the way to treat that is to cut maybe a couple of slits
Yes.
across the root to give the ones that remain
Right.
will flourish.
Yes. Most definitely. You could, but most of the time, I mean, they're going to, if we're talking about houseplants, most of the time they're going to be okay. If we were talking about a tree or something like that, I might recommend doing that. But unless it's been in that pot for like 20 years and, there's, I wouldn't think that you probably have to go that extreme when repotting. Just, you could tease them out just a little bit, but once they have room, they'll start going. But like a tree, they will do that sometimes if people don't dig the hole big enough. The roots will start wrapping around itself and then choking itself out. So they do recommend that method for trees for sure. Do you have a question, sir? Yes. 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 I wish I knew. I know that it's patience and lighting. There is a judge named Stephanie Boyd. She's downtown at the 187th, and she always tells, if people are getting a divorce or a protection order or something, her advice to the person getting in trouble is, you're obviously not ready for a spouse. What you need to do is get yourself an orchid. Make sure it's blooming and it's beautiful, and then you keep it and keep it alive and get it to rebloom. And once it reblooms, then you're ready for a relationship. So obviously it is tricky. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh, good. Interesting. I'll have to find out what that fertilizer is too, if it's something that we could possibly order. Again, Mary Kay works in the houseplant greenhouse, so she would probably have a little bit more knowledge about those specific products. So my apologies that she couldn't make it today. She was very bummed. She was so excited about coming, and she probably would have kept y'all here for 3 hours, even though it was a 45-minute presentation, because she loves to talk. So she did want me to tell everyone that she was so sorry she couldn't come. And I hope that I've been able to answer your questions as to the best of my abilities. I certainly tried, but I definitely am not an expert in houseplants. I am very knowledgeable in all plants, but I really know a lot more about the outdoor ones. But I am learning, which it's been a fun journey. But yes. Do know that we all kill plants all the time, every day. It happens all the time. So don't beat yourself up about it if you ever kill a plant. That's how we learn, and we do that quite frequently. And I'll tell you, when I look back at teaching, and if I forgot a child in the restroom, I'd lose my job. But if I'm walking around and I forgot a plant somewhere, it's thank goodness it's there's definitely some different stress levels in the two positions. I can just say, just being around the plants in general, it's just been such a wonderful experience. So great connecting with nature, and it's so nice to be able to bring that indoors and complement your natural decor that you have in your home, and then also just bringing in that peace and calm and serenity. It really does make a difference. So any other questions anybody has? Yes. 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 Well, I will tell you, if for some reason that ever were to happen, we sell a product called mosquito bits, and my sister uses them in her houseplants anyway to prevent the fungus gnats, because there's this little fungus gnats. So you wouldn't have that issue at all if you just put a couple of the little they're mosquito bits, and we sell them, and I think they sell them at Home Depot and Walmart and stuff. But they're just some little bits, and they will gently dissolve, and that will also take care of the mosquitoes. So that's very helpful and non-toxic to pets. So if your cat happens to drink something out of the saucer or whatever, you're fine. Anything else? All right, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. I hope I was able to answer all your questions for you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, and I do have, yes, I've got 2 $25 gift certificates for Rainbow Gardens. Yes. Okay. Okay. So we've got Maria? All right. There you go. A $25 gift certificate to Rainbow Gardens. And Larry. You won a $25 gift certificate to Rainbow Gardens. Yes. Yes, yes. Wonderful. Thank you.
I know it's not. There we go. Thank you. All right, Robin, we're really grateful that you were here. Our next meeting is going to be Monday, February 2nd, and we have the owner of Wild Birds Unlimited coming to talk to us about backyard birds, feeding birds. February happens to be like National Bird Month, and there's the great backyard bird count, and there's a special bird day, and it all kind of fits together, and so that should be a lot of fun. Let's have Lynn come up and give us our blessing for our meal, and then we'll meet you at Asian Star. Thank you.
New Year, and may all your weeds be wildflowers. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time together. Thank you for all your many blessings. Thank you as we go into the new year that we can go knowing that we are in your care as our Heavenly Father, that you are with us, that you give us strength. Help us to have wisdom. Grow us in our faith. Thank you for the food that we are about to partake of. Thank you for the hands that prepared it. Help it to give us the strength necessary to do your will. In that name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Lynn. It's 11:54, and our meeting is adjourned. And thank you, Bob, for setting us up on Zoom.